Hey, how's it going? It's Brett, Useful Aircraft. I want to show you something I've been working with. DJI O4, obviously. They come out, stuck it on the Pavo, that's the 20 Pro. I've been really happy with the way that it works. This cage has been a success. I thought it was an improvement to it. The battery life was greatly enhanced. I saw it go from about 4.5 minutes to actually close to 7 minutes is what I've been seeing now. But again, I have kind of a swoopy flying style. Wanted to integrate it obviously into my fixed wing. So I built up a mount. This is one of the mounts that I created. And this is one of the airplanes that I've installed it in. This is a Sub250 flying with a 3S 850 milliamp hour. It's actually with a LiPo battery on that, which is not my typical battery pack. But as you can see, I've also put an ND filter in the front. It's Arizona. We got a lot of bright sunshine, but the ND filter does help. I mean, you know, when you go outside, you want to be wearing your sunglasses. This contains no flight controller. It's quite simply just, you know, there's a Beta FPV ELRS PWM receiver in there. So no GPS, no stabilization of any kind. It's old school, and in doing so you have to set the DJI FPV unit to basically high power automatically. You avoid the waiting for the arming signal. So heat mitigation is a bit of a challenge. You want to have some decent airflow. That's why I've got those openings on either side. Allow some air to pass through. Again, additional vents up top with my vent latch and plenty of airflow coming out the rear end. Haven't had any overheat warnings short of when I powered this unit up and been waiting on the ground too long before I threw it, but it's really designed to put the battery in and get it in the air within, you know, within 30 seconds or less. I mean, there's nothing you're waiting for. You get the ESC arming beeps, you run a flight control check, you bring your throttle up to power, and that's it. Everything's ready to go. Toss it, you know, drop the goggles on your head as she climbs out pretty straight and steady. It is Sub250 as she's built here. This is with a 1407 3500 kV motor. The prop is a 3052-3, 3 9-gram servos, as you can see, handful of 3D printed parts, my control rods. I even printed a couple of fairings for the servo back there. And, you know, the vent system, as you can see, the sliding vent latch at the front, and again, the camera mount. But you end up with a great little park flyer. Flight times, you know, right around the 8-minute mark, and you're returning with about 30% battery. Obviously, if you fly more aggressively, you know, you can run through that battery a lot quicker. But it's nice that, again, Sub250, so it gets you around some of the rules. I'll go ahead and throw some of the video on screen in a moment, but a couple of things to talk about when you build it. Remember, the air unit is designed to run on 3S or less. I use a ground power system in order to power my builds when I'm testing and whatnot. I had this hooked up to a 4S battery. I owe someone at DJI a beer. You cannot burn out the DJI system. It just doesn't power up. It doesn't turn on if you're supplying it with 4S, which thank goodness they did that, because right now those the O4 air units are a little bit hard to come by. This is the single board version, you know, which some people are calling the O4 Lite. And again, obviously, it's something that's optimized for something light, just like this. I've got 3 of these things. I'm pretty fortunate. You know, like I said, I have the one that I put into the in the Pavo 20 Pro. I absolutely love this. Some folks have been reporting that on some of their O4s deployed in other quads, they're seeing jello. Honestly, I'm not doing you know, cinematic flying with these things. It's take them out in the yard and yank and bank and have some fun. So in doing so, I haven't been too terribly worried about that. I'm not doing a lot of post-processing. But I will say, with the nature of foam board and the way that these build up, that you're less inclined to see that jello. My only piece of advice on this, I have had some bad luck. I did actually manage to kill one of these O4 air units in a crash. What I would tell you, and I don't know if you can see it on this, if you look inside where the O4 air unit is hooked up, you can see it's a yellow and white line is what I'm using to run power to it. I have zip tied that to the antenna mount in this case. And in doing so, you want to alleviate any strain on the board interface, that plug, because that's what ripped out on one of my air units. So again, I put, and I'll show you here, let me just put my little vent back on. You know, the board mounts up on top here. The camera obviously mounts in there. And I put a zip tie to hold that power cable secure. I put a little loop of you know, the line itself. So again, you know, if you can get your eyes in there and see that, you can see that it's a, that cable is zip tied off. So that way, in the event of a crash, the cable itself is what takes the force of the impact, and it doesn't come down to that board style, you know, SMT mounted connector. I ripped one of those off. I thought, you know, hey, there are some solder pads underneath that I could solder to. There was other damage to the board, so that unit was dead. I have had great luck with these. You know, I'll talk about it in some of my other builds, but for now, I just wanted to go over and show you this airplane and some of the work that I'm doing. This is my mount system. It's a 3D printed mount to replace the DJI camera mount, and that just clips on. And what that allows you to do is two things. One, when you buy your O4 air unit, it comes with, I don't know if you can really see that, that is a lens protector. I saw these lens protectors and I powered the camera up and I thought, why aren't we saving these things and perhaps using them? And so this system allows you to take that lens protector, and as you can see, I've just inserted it in there, and that clips onto your, that clips onto the camera itself. Simultaneously, I also had some of these, and I don't know where exactly I ended up with them. These are ND filters. I believe these are designed for an Avata, and I don't own an Avata, so these ended up in my bag somewhere. So as you can see, a handful of these ND filters. And what they simply do this is my most recent design, is they clip in, just like that. So again, you've got two levels of protection, and you can pull these out and swap them if you want, just like that. You know, put a different one in. But it, you know, I'm not as much of a photography guy. There's other people that can explain exactly what it's doing. I do tend to think the image comes out better. All of the flying you're going to see in the video that I'll show you below is flying with this system, and inside of there is the lens protector as well behind it. So it would take quite an impact in order to damage that lens. I know folks have talked about the MIPI cables on the top of the cameras. I've crashed these things where they've been knocked out of the airplane more than a couple of times on at least 3 occasions. And that is not been the point of failure. Again, the point of failure is where the power and data cable hooks up, that runs back to your flight controller or whatnot. And, you know, that was the lesson I learned. So again, use a zip tie, take your power and data cable, attach it, provide a little loop, you know, I mean, I'm talking a loop that's maybe a centimeter in diameter, and zip tie that to one of the mounts. And so that in the event of a crash, that plug is not where the force of the crash is located. You know, the plug, it's allowed some slack in the cable because of that zip tie loop. It's a common thing that you see, and I don't know, I've seen it host other places around aviation and whatnot, just to ensure some tech yanking on a cable doesn't accidentally pull something out. So I don't know. I don't know exactly where it was that I picked that up, but it's worked out well, and ever since then it's prevented me having any harm. You know, the O4 Air unit has been a remarkable unit. I've actually got it up and running, and I'll do another video on it when I finish work with it. But that's running iNav 8, complete with the graphical overlays, you know, on the OSD, or the heads-up display. And I've been very happy with that. That airplane, however, is not Sub250. This guy is. If it's something you'd like to see more of, if it's something you guys might be interested in, drop me a note, drop me a comment, tell me what you think about it down below. If you got any improvements, suggestions, or ideas for things we could do better, I'd love to hear it. Otherwise, you know, do all the usual bullshit for YouTube and, you know, hit the button, subscribe, the whole 9 yards. UsefulAircraft.com. My name is Brett. I appreciate your time. Thank you.